Okay, so good evening everyone. I am Shivani Tok and I welcome you all to the week 6 tutorial for this course of Principles of Signals and Systems. Sorry for the rescheduling of this week's tutorial. I was traveling for some conference. One more announcement. This week's, that is week 7 tutorial is also rescheduled. It will be on next Monday from 7 to 9 p.m. Again because of some travel coming up.
Okay.
Yeah. The link will be the same. It will be again posted to you people by the NPTEL folks. So yeah, okay. So this week we continued with the concepts of Z transform, and we introduced another concept or another transform which is known as, or rather series, which is known as Fourier series. So Fourier series gives you a frequency domain representation of your signal. Okay, so we'll see what exactly was covered and all those things with a quick recap. Before that, so like every time, this week's tutorial will be divided into two parts. First, we'll do a quick recap of the content, followed by the questions that are related to this week's content. So we first started with inverse Z transform. So we saw the actual expression for inverse Z transform, which is given by, so it is a contour integral over a region or a contour gamma x of z into z to the power n minus 1 dz, where this gamma is a closed contour in counterclockwise sense, and it encloses all the poles of what? Of z to the power n minus 1 into x of z. And note that this gamma or this contour is basically a subset of ROC. It is contained in your region of convergence. Okay, so you have this inverse Z transform, and then we saw how to make use of this particular inverse Z transform expression to get the Z transform in the uh, Z transform using general inversion method. So we said that we can write this x of n, inverse Z transform as summation I equal to 1 to p, where p is the number of poles, and then we can write this as residue at z tending to zi, or let's say pi, that is your ith pole of residue of this quantity. And how to define this residue? So that it depends on the multiplicity of your pole. So if your multiplicity is 1, then residue of z at pi x of z, z to the power n minus 1, it is given by limit z tending to pi, z minus pi x of z, z to the power n minus 1. And if the multiplicity is r, then residue is given by 1 minus r factorial limit z tending to pi, derivative of this r minus 1 times of this quantity z minus pi into z to the power n minus 1 into x of z. This is to the power r minus 1. Yeah. So this is how it is done. Then after that we moved on, or rather we switched our gears and looked at another important concept of continuous time, or rather Fourier series representation for continuous time signals, specifically for continuous time periodic signals. So note that these Fourier series is defined only for periodic signals and not any arbitrary signal. So what does, okay, so before understanding Fourier series, we looked at three important things. The first one is fundamental frequency. So this fundamental frequency, let's say it is given by fundamental period, let's say it is given by T naught. So this T naught is the smallest period or duration after which the signal repeats. We have seen this earlier, but still it's just a revision. Okay. Then we have fundamental angular frequency. So that is omega naught. So this omega naught is related to your T naught. It is given by 2 pi by T naught. And harmonics, this harmonics is any integer multiple of your frequency, maybe angular frequency or discrete frequency, doesn't matter. Hertz frequency, doesn't matter, where this k belongs to the set of integers. This z is the set of integers. Okay, so this is what we have. Then what does this Fourier series representation say? It says that any continuous time periodic signal, this x of t is continuous time periodic signal. We can represent this as summation from minus infinity to infinity, or a linear combination of ck into e power j k omega naught t. So this is the kth harmonic. This is your kth harmonic, and this is your Fourier series coefficient. And this Fourier series coefficient is given by 1 by t naught integral. You integrate this particular x of t over any period into x of t into e power minus j k omega naught t dt. So this is your complex Fourier series representation. After that, we also looked at something known as the trigonometric Fourier series representation. This trigonometric Fourier series representation is given something like this. You can write your x of t as a naught by 2 plus summation k running from 1 to infinity. We have a k cos k omega naught t plus bk sine of k omega naught t. And we also saw the relations, how to find AKs and BKs. And we also saw the relation between AK, BK and your CKs. I am not writing those for the sake of time constraints. Then we looked at something known as Dirichlet's conditions. And what are these Dirichlet conditions? These Dirichlet conditions are basically sufficient conditions. These are sufficient conditions for the existence of Fourier series. Okay, so these are sufficient conditions, not necessary. So these are not necessary. What do you mean by that? So if a particular continuous time signal satisfies these conditions, it will have a Fourier transform. But if these conditions are not satisfied, it is not necessary that that particular signal will not have a Fourier transform. Okay, so that's why these are only sufficient conditions. If these are followed, Fourier transform is guaranteed to be there or guaranteed to exist, but Fourier series, sorry. However, if these conditions are not satisfied, the Fourier series might exist. We don't know. Okay, so there are three conditions in this Dirichlet conditions. So first one is the signal should be absolutely integrable over a period. The second one is that the particular signal over a period should have finite number of maximas and minimas, and it should have finite number of finite discontinuities. So these are the three conditions, three Dirichlet conditions. And after that, we looked at another important concept or important point in this Fourier series and all those representations. We'll revisit this particular thing multiple times. This is your power of periodic signals. So this power of periodic signal, let's say you have x of t and its Fourier series representations are given by ck's. Then the power of the signal over a period is given by 1 over t naught integrate over a period t naught magnitude of x of t whole square dt. This is your power and we showed that this is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity magnitude of ck square. So power in your time domain is preserved in the frequency domain as well, and this particular concept is very important in this transforms, and this is known as Parseval's theorem. Okay. So this is the Parseval's theorem. So at this particular point we stopped in the lectures. If you have any okay. Okay, so here, okay, one more thing before I move ahead. Note that this inverse set transform using general inversion, whatever we wrote, was based on so this was based on your uh, causality. Your signal should be causal. Okay, so it is said that first question says that find h of n if h of z is given by this equation here, given that the system is causal using general inversion method. So your transfer function h of z, it is given by 1 upon 1 minus 1.5 z inverse plus 0.5 z to the power minus 2. If I multiply and divide by z square, I'll get z square upon z square minus 1.5 z plus 0.5. This I can also write as, so I can factorize the denominator as z minus 1 into z minus 0.5 and general inversion method, how does your h of n look? Your h of n looks like residue at z tending to 1 plus residue at z tending to 0.5, and this is causal system, so u of n. Okay, so this is what we have right now. So let's find these things. So residue of at z equal to 1, z tending to 1, will be limit z tending to 1, you have z to the power n minus 1 into h of z into z minus 1. So this is equal to limit z tending to 1, z to the power n minus 1 into z square upon z minus 1 into z minus 0.5 into z minus 1. This gets cancelled. Sorry, yeah, okay. So this becomes limit z tending to 1, z to the power n plus 1 upon z minus 0.5 This is equal to 1 to the power n plus 1 upon 1 minus 0.5. So this comes out to be equal to 2. Similarly, we have residue at z tending to 0.5. This will be equal to limit z tending to 0.5, z to the power n minus 1, h of z into z minus 0.5. So this is equal to limit z tending to 0.5, z to the power n minus 1 into z square upon z minus 1 into z minus 0.5 into z minus 0.5. This gets cancelled. So what I am left with is limit z tending to 0.5, z to the power n plus 1 upon z minus 1. This is equal to 0.5 to the power n plus 1 upon minus 0.5. So this becomes minus 0.5 to the power n. So therefore what we have, so this is the h of n that we have. So therefore h of n is equal to 2 minus 0.5 to the power n into u of n. So this is your inverse z transform for the given transfer function. Any questions? Okay, if not, then let me move on to the next question. So this is the next question. So it says that find the Fourier series coefficients for the signal which is given by x of t, which is equal to summation L running from minus infinity to infinity delta t minus L t, where delta is your standard unit step, the unit impulse function. So how does this signal look? So this is your t axis. Here you have 0. Then you have an impulse here. Then it repeats at every integer multiple of t and so on. So like this. And you have it at minus t, minus 2t, minus 3t and so on. Okay. So this is what we have. Now what do you want to find out? So we want to find out the Fourier series coefficients of the signal. So the CKs are given by 1 over t. So here, okay, so first few things that we need to look here is the fundamental period. Is t. So your fundamental angular frequency it is 2 pi by t. So this is your omega. Okay. So therefore your CKs is 1 over the fundamental period t, integrate over any period x of t into e power minus j k omega naught t dt. Okay. Now you can take up any period. Maybe you take this period, maybe you take this period like 0 to t, t to 2t or anything. What we will do, we will take a period from minus t by 2 to t by 2 such that one impulse is included in that period, just to simplify our calculations. So I can write this as 1 over t integral. So I can integrate this from this region, that is minus t by 2 to t by 2. So this will be my region of integration. So this will be from minus t by 2 to t by 2. Now in this period, what is the value of my x of t? X of t is nothing but your unit impulse delta t, which is located at t equal to 0. So this is what you have. And then your other thing remains as it is, e power minus j k. Your omega naught is 2 pi by t into small t dt. Okay, now this is a unit step, unit impulse function. So you have this unit impulse function. So this is like f of x into delta, f of t into delta t. So therefore you will get f of 0. So you will have delta t as it is into e power minus j k 2 pi by t into 0. So this thing now is equal to 1. So this entire thing becomes delta t. Is this clear? So essentially what you have here is your ck is 1 by t integral minus t by 2 to t by 2 delta t dt. Now in the very first lecture of this particular course, we had seen that if you are integrating a unit impulse function over a finite range, that will be equal to 1 only when you have one impulse, only when the impulse is included in the region of integration. So the region of integration here is from minus t by 2 to t by 2, and we see that this delta t is included in the region of integration. So therefore this integral value, or rather the value of this particular integral here, will be equal to 1. So this is equal to 1 by t. So what do we get? We get ck equal to 1 by t for all k in the set of integers. Is it clear? Any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, then let me move on to the next question. So, yeah. So this is the next question. It says that find the Fourier series so this has two parts. The first part is x of t equal to sine of omega naught t, and second part is cos of omega naught t. So let's first start with sine of omega naught t. So for that, what we will do, there are two ways of doing this. Okay. Let me go back to the definition of Fourier series that we have seen. Yeah. So we can make use of this equation ck equal to 1 over t naught. So this particular ck expression, that is one option. The other option is being clever and try to represent the x of t given to us in this particular form. So now let us try to make use of this form and find the Fourier series coefficient. So what is the signal given to us? The signal given to us, x of t, is sine of omega naught t, and what we want to do is we want to represent x of t as x of t is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity ck into e power j k omega naught. So this is what we want, and from that we want to extract the value of your ck's. Now we know that any sine theta can be represented as e power j theta minus e power minus j theta by 2. So the sine of omega naught t we can write as e power j omega naught t minus e power minus j omega naught t whole divided by 2j. So now I can write this as 1 by 2j into e power j into 1 into omega naught t plus, I can write it as minus 1 by 2j into e power j minus 1 omega naught t. So what do we get here? So this particular thing, so here you have e power j, oh sorry, yeah, here you have e power j k omega naught t. So the k is 1. So the coefficient here will be basically your ck or c of 1. So this is your c1. Similarly, if you focus on this component, this is e power j minus 1 omega naught t. So this particular thing will be essentially your c of minus 1. So this is your c of minus 1. So therefore, what are your Fourier series coefficients? So your ck's are equal to 1 by 2j if k equal to 1. It is minus 1 by 2j if k is minus 1, and it is 0 otherwise. Makes sense? Is this clear? So instead of using your entire integral expressions, you can simply solve this particular question by observation. One small homework that you can try is make use of that integral expression and get this particular form. Both the approaches will give you the same result. Okay, so let's do the same thing for the second part, which is cos of omega naught t. So your x of t is cos of omega naught t. And for this particular thing, we'll use cos of theta equal to e power j theta plus e power minus j theta by 2. So this becomes e power j omega naught t plus e power minus j omega naught t by 2. So again, this is equal to 1 by 2 into e power j 1 omega naught t plus 1 by 2 into e power j minus 1 omega naught t. So here this one is C1, and this quantity here, which has e power j into minus 1 omega naught t, this becomes your C of minus 1. So what we have here, your Ck is equal to 1 by 2 when k is either 1 or minus 1, and it is 0 otherwise. Is it clear? Any questions? Obtaining Fourier series coefficients when you have sinusoids is very easy. You just have to make use of this Euler's notations and then just simplify stuff. You don't have to care about solving those integrals. Okay. If there are no questions, then let me move on to the next question. Again, you have a sinusoid here. So here what you have to do, again find the Fourier series coefficients. We'll again use the x of t equal to summation of linear combination of your harmonics kind of trick. So here your x of t is sine of omega naught t plus sine square omega naught t. So first thing that we are going to use is sine square theta is 1 minus cos 2 theta by 2. So that will give me sine of omega naught t plus 1 minus cos of 2 omega naught t whole divided by 2. And after this, we will make use of Sine theta is equal to e power j theta minus e power minus j theta by 2, and cos theta is equal to e power j theta plus e power minus j theta by 2. So that will give me e power j theta minus j omega naught t minus e power minus j omega naught t by 2 plus 1 by 2 minus 1 by 2 into e power j 2 omega naught t plus e power minus j 2 omega naught t by 2. So therefore x of t is equal to, I can write this as 1 by 2 into e power j omega naught t 2j, sorry, minus 1 by 2j e power minus j omega naught t plus half minus 1 by 4 e power j 2 omega naught t minus 1 by 4 into e power minus j 2 omega naught t. Just for the sake of um, ease, I'll just rearrange these terms. So I'll have x of t as minus 1 by 4 into e power j minus 2 omega naught t. Then I'll have plus minus 1 by 2j into e power j minus 1 omega naught t plus half into e power j. This 1 I can write as 0 into omega naught t. Then I'll have plus 1 by 2j into e power j 1 omega naught t plus minus 1 by 4 into e power j 2 omega naught. So this 1 by 4 is your c of minus 2. This minus 1 by 2j is your c of minus 1. This 1 by 2 is your c of 0. This 1 by 2j is your c1, and this minus 1 by 4 is your c2. So therefore, your ck's are minus 1 by 4 if k is equal to minus 2. It is minus 1 by 2j if k is minus 1. It is 1 by 2 if k is equal to 0. It is 1 by 2j if k is equal to 1, and it is minus 1 by 4 if k is equal to 2, and it is 0 otherwise. Okay, is it clear? Any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, then let me move on to the next question. So this says that find the Fourier series of the following signal. So let's say this particular signal is some x1 of t, and this x1 of t is equal to 1 for 0 to t by 2, and it is equal to minus 1 for t by 2 to 1. So this x of, and it repeats. So this is the signal that you have. So the fundamental period of this particular signal is t, which means that your fundamental frequency is 2 pi by t. Okay, so this is your fundamental frequency. So how to find your Fourier series coefficient? So your Fourier series coefficient Ck will be given by 1 by t integral 0 to t x of t into e power minus j k 2 pi by t into little t dt. Yeah, okay. Now we know that from 0 to t by 2 it is 1 if your x of t is 1, and from t by 2 to t it is minus 1. So I can split this integral into two parts. So the first one will be from 0 to t by 2. In this region your x of t is 1, so you will have e power minus j k 2 pi by t into little t dt plus you will have minus 1, so let's say minus 1 by t integral from t by 2 to t e power minus j k 2 pi by t into little t dt. So this is equal to the first integral 1 by t into e power minus j k 2 pi little t by capital T upon minus j k 2 pi by t from 0 to t by 2 minus 1 by t into we have e power minus j k 2 pi by t little t by minus j k 2 pi by capital T from t by 2 to t. So this t gets cancelled. Yeah. So what we are left with is e power minus j k 2 pi by t into t by 2 minus 1. So e power is minus j 0 is 1 upon minus j k 2 pi. This is the first one. Minus we have e power minus j k 2 pi by little capital T into t minus e power minus j k 2 pi by capital T into capital T by 2 whole divided by minus j k 2 pi. Now just focus on this term. So this t gets cancelled and this gets cancelled. So the term that is left with here is e power minus j k pi. And similar term is available here also, where this t gets cancelled, this t gets cancelled, and this 2 and this 2 gets cancelled. So how to write this? This you can write as e power minus j pi whole to the power. Okay, it's okay. Let's write it as cos of k pi minus j times sine of k pi. Now every integer multiple of pi, sine of every integer multiple of pi is 0, and cos of k pi, if k is equal to 1, it is minus 1, if k is equal to 2, it is 1. So for odd number, all odd values of k, it is minus 1, for even values of k, it is plus 1. So I can write this as minus 1 to the power k. Similarly, this particular term here, this t gets cancelled. So what you have is e power minus j k 2 pi. So this becomes cos of 2k pi minus j times sine of 2k pi. This goes to 0. So what we are left with is 1. So every even integer multiple of pi and its cosine is 1. So therefore, what we are left with is your ck. So your ck is now minus 1 to the power k minus 1 whole divided by minus j 2k pi minus we have 1 minus minus 1 to the power minus k whole divided by minus j 2k pi. So this I can write as like this. So 1 minus and this can get cancelled with this. So essentially what you have 2 times 1 minus minus 1 to the power k whole divided by j 2k pi. This 2 gets cancelled, and what we are left with is 1 minus minus 1 to the power k divided by jk pi. And note that we derived something that is ck's, and the integration step here, whatever we just wrote, this is valid only for k not equal to 0. If k is equal to 0, everything that we did is wrong, because for k equal to 0, this particular step itself will go to infinity. So whatever we have done from this particular step onwards is valid only for k not equal to 0. So this is the case for k not equal to 0. So when you are going to find these Fourier series coefficients, or Fourier transform also for that matter, in the subsequent lectures, be very careful. If your coefficients or k's or these values or frequencies are coming in denominator, you need to be careful that this is valid only for k not equal to 0. Then what happens when k is equal to 0? So for that, we'll go back to the definition. So we'll go back to this particular definition and plug in k equal to 0. So what do we have? We have c of 0 is equal to 1 by t integral from 0 to t x of t into e power minus j 0 omega, that is 2 pi by capital T into t dt. Now this is equal to 1. So what we are left with is 1 by t integral from 0 to capital T x of t. Okay. So now this is equal to, so C0 is equal to 1 by t. Again, from integral 1 to 0 to t by 2, your signal was 1 dt, and from t by 2 to t, it was minus 1. So this is what we have. So this is equal to 1 by t into t from 0 to t by 2 minus 1 by t 0 to t by 2, t by 2 to capital T. So this is equal to 1 by t into t by 2 minus 1 by t into t minus t by 2, which is again equal to t by 2. So this comes out to be equal to 0. So what do we get? We get Ck's is equal to we get Ck's is equal to 0 if k is equal to 0, and it comes out to be 1 minus minus 1 to the power k by j k pi if k is not equal to 0. Okay. So these are the Fourier series coefficients for the given signal. Is it clear? Any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, then let me move on to the next question. So, okay. So again, we want to find the Fourier series coefficients for this particular signal. Okay, so let's say this is your x of t, and your fundamental period is capital T, and your x of t is equal to 2. Your x of t is equal to 2 for 0 to t by 2, and it is equal to 0 for t by 2 to capital T. So again, what we have fundamental period as t. So fundamental frequency. So when I'm saying fundamental frequency, in general, I will be talking about angular frequency. So when I say frequency, you assume it to be angular frequency. Okay. So this is 2 pi by capital. Okay. So this is what we have. So again, let's say you have the Fourier series coefficients of this be, let's say, given by AKs. I am on purpose doing this. So this is 1 by t, integral from 0 to t. Let's write down the definition. X of t into e power minus j k 2 pi by capital T into little t dt. Now this x of t is equal to 2 for 0 to t by 2, otherwise it is 0. So this integral limit survives only for 0 to t by 2. In that it is 2 into e power minus j k 2 pi by capital T into t into dt. So this is equal to 2 by t into e power minus j k 2 pi by capital T into little t divided by minus j k 2 pi by capital T from 0 to t by 2. So this t gets cancelled, this 2 and this 2 also gets cancelled. And what we are left with is e power minus j k 2 pi by capital T into capital T by 2 minus e power minus j0, which is 1, upon minus j k pi. So this gets cancelled. And what we are left with is e power minus j k pi minus 1 upon minus j k pi. Or in other words, this is equal to 1 minus e power minus j k pi whole divided by j k pi. Again, we saw in the previous question that e power minus j k pi is minus 1 to the power k. So this is equal to 1 minus 1 to the power k divided by j k pi. Again, note that we have this k coming along in the denominator, so this particular thing is valid only for k not equal to 0. So for k equal to 0, we need to repeat the entire process. So let's do that. So we have a0 So this a0 is equal to 1 by t into integral from 0 to t x of t into e power minus j 0 2 pi by capital T into little t dt. So this is equal to 1 by t integral 0 to t x of t dt. Again, this x of t is equal to 2 only for 0 to t by 2. So this becomes 1 by t integral 0 to t by 2 into 2 dt. So this becomes 2 by t into t evaluated from 0 to t by 2. This becomes 2 by t into t by 2 minus 0, that is equal to 1. So what do we have? We have this a case as integral, as 1 for k equal to 0, and it is 1 minus 1 to the power k upon j k pi for k not equal to 0. So this is what we have here. Till this point, is it clear? Okay. If till this point it is clear, I want you to look at something interesting that is happening here. Okay, so this was question number what? Question number 6. In question number 5, you had a signal which looked something like this. So on. So this was 1 minus 1, this was t by 2, this was t. So this was your x1 of t from question number 5. Okay. Now you got question number 6 in which you had this particular signal. So this was, okay, so this repeats and so on either side. So you got something like this. So on, this also repeats here and so on. This was 2, this is 0. And this was your x of t. Now if you observe carefully, this x of t is basically 1 plus. So at every point you are adding 1 to this particular x of t. So you can write this x1 of t, sorry. So you can represent this x of t as this x1 of t plus 1. And this 1 is added for all values of t. Okay. Now what you can do is, or rather what you can see is, your x of t, you, or rather using Fourier series, your x of t we represented as summation k running from minus infinity to infinity ak into e power j k omega naught t, or rather I can write this as summation k running from minus infinity to infinity for k not equal to 0 ak into e power j k omega naught t plus a0, and we saw that this a0 was equal to 1. So this was 1 plus summation k running from minus infinity to infinity for k not equal to 0 ak into e power j k omega naught t. Okay, so this was the Fourier series representation for your x of t. Similarly, from question number 5, we saw that x1 of t I can represent as summation k running from minus infinity to infinity ck into e power j k omega naught t. And we saw that this is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity k not equal to 0 ck into e power j k omega naught t plus c0, and we saw that the c0 was equal to 0. So essentially this is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity k not equal to 0 into ck into e power j k omega naught t. Okay. Now if I plug in these two equations, these two representations in this particular equation, so what we have, so let's say this is my equation number 1. Let me add a page. So from 1, what we have is your x1 of x of t is equal to 1 plus x1 of t. Your x of t is essentially 1 plus summation. So this is 1 plus summation k running from minus infinity to infinity k not equal to 0 ak into e power j k omega naught t. This is equal to 1 plus summation k running from minus infinity to infinity k not equal to 0 ck into e power j k omega naught t. So this one and this one gets cancelled. And what we can see by observation here is these two equations should be equal when we have ak is equal to ck. So we have ak equal to ck for all k such that k is not equal to 0. Is it the case? So we saw that this ak for k not equal to 0 was 1 minus 1, minus 1 to the power k by j k pi. And similarly, this ck for k not equal to 0, you get 1 minus minus 1 to the power k into j k pi. Okay, so this is what we are able to see. So now what has happened? Okay, you were able to write x of t as x1 of t plus 1, and we know that this is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity, k not equal to 0, ck e power j omega naught t into k plus 1. Okay, so this 1 is basically shifting this signal upwards by 1 unit. So if you do plus 1, you get this particular signal. So this is adding a constant shift, a constant or a DC shift to your originally periodic signal x1 of t. And the DC component in this x1 of t, which is given by your 0th frequency harmonic, that is k omega naught, that for k equal to 0. So for that particular harmonic, this particular signal, the Fourier series coefficient was equal to 0. So there was no DC shift in the signal. But this addition of 1 for all the values of t is increasing, or it is adding a DC shift to that signal. And this DC shift is only reflecting in your 0th frequency component. Otherwise, all other frequency components remain unchanged. So if you are adding a constant term, so you have addition of this constant term or an additional DC component, it only affects the Fourier series coefficient for k equal to 0. Otherwise, for k not equal to 0, your entire series remains same. Is it clear? Does that make sense? If you are adding a DC shift, only the DC component gets affected. Otherwise, all the other harmonics remain same. This is an important observation. Please keep in mind. In case you are given a particular signal like this, then just change its DC component. Any questions till this time? Next week, we will see the properties of this Fourier transform as well. So maybe you will see many other things. And maybe at that time, this particular property might make more sense. But yeah, this is an interesting thing to look at, especially when we are dealing with harmonics. Okay, if there are no questions, then let me move on to the next question. Okay, so this is the question that is given to us. So again, we need to find the Fourier series coefficients. These questions might seem to be repetitive, like finding Fourier series and all those things. but bear with me, these are important questions. You will need those things once you go ahead in the course. Okay, so what is given to us is something like this. This particular point here is 1, sorry, minus 1. This particular point is your plus 1. And then you have this periodic signal. And if you compare this point, or rather if you compare this point and this point, these are same. So this is the period of your signal. So the fundamental period of your signal is 2. So the fundamental period is 2, and your fundamental frequency is 2 pi by t, that is 2, that is pi. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to find the Fourier series, that is Ck, for that is 1 by t, that is 2, integral over a period. So a period is of length 2, so I can integrate it from minus 1 to 1, x of t into e power minus j k omega naught t dt. So the region of integration that we are interested in is this, that is minus 1 to 1. And if you see here, at minus 1 the value is minus 1, at t equal to 1 the value is equal to 1, and this is a straight line. So there, this is a straight line, and therefore for in this particular region your x of t is equal to t in this particular region. Okay, so the region of our interest is from minus 1 to 1, and as I mentioned here, in this region it is equal to minus 1 to 1, it is t into e power minus j k omega naught t dt. So let me add a blank page. So this is equal to 1 by t, I can apply integral qp, so t first term as it is, into e power minus j k, your omega naught is pi, by minus j k pi from minus 1 to 1, minus integral from minus 1 to 1, derivative of your t is t is 1, and you have integral of e power minus j k pi t upon minus j k pi dt. So this becomes 1 by 2 into t into e power minus j k pi t upon minus j k pi from minus 1 to 1, and here I have minus e power minus j k pi t upon j k pi whole square from minus 1 to 1. So this is what we have here. So let us substitute the limits. So this is equal to 1 by 2 into e power minus j k pi minus of minus 1, that is plus, into e power minus j k pi plus j k pi upon minus j k pi. This is the first term, and then you have minus e power minus j k pi minus e power j k pi by j k pi whole squared. So this becomes 1 by 2 into, again, e power minus j k pi is minus 1 to the power k. Again, e power j k pi, so I'll just write it down here somewhere. So e power j k pi, I can write it as cos of k pi plus j times sine k pi. So again, this goes to 0, and I have cos of k pi. Cos of k pi is 1. essentially the same thing. It is 1 when k is even and odd. Minus 1 when k is odd. So this is equal to minus 1 to the power k. So this is equal to minus 1 to the power k upon minus jk pi, minus you have minus 1 to the power k minus of minus 1 to the power k upon jk pi whole square. So this goes to 0, and what we are left with is, so this is equal to 1 by 2 into 2 times minus 1 to the power k upon minus jk pi. So this is nothing but minus, or rather minus 1 to the power k plus 1 upon jk pi. And again this k sits in the denominator, so this is valid only when k is not equal to 0. Right from the point we found out this integral, we should keep in mind that this is for k not equal to 0, otherwise it is invalid, it goes to infinity. So let's find out c of 0 or c0, or rather for k equal to 0. So for c0 we'll have 1 by 2, t is your period, from minus 1 to 1. You have t into e power minus j, k is 0, omega naught t dt. So this becomes 1 by 2 integral minus 1 to 1 t dt. Now this t is an odd function, and integral minus a to a of an odd function is equal to 0. So this comes out to be equal to 0. So therefore what we get, therefore your ck is equal to minus 1 to the power k plus 1 upon jk pi for k not equal to 0, and it is equal to 0 otherwise. Okay. Is it clear? Any questions? In the next week, once we see the properties, we'll also try to make relation between this particular signal that is given to us in this question and in question number 5. Okay. Okay. If there are no questions, then let's move on to the next one. So again, we have to find out the Fourier series coefficients of this particular signal here.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Can you show the previous question, ma'am? Upper slide, ma'am.
I hope you are able to access the notes through the drive folder. This will be shared.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, don't worry.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. If you want, still I'll show, it's fine, but don't worry, it will be shared to you.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
The videos are also available on my YouTube channel. The links are also shared with you people.
Ma'am,
Those are
only
there.
one doubt.
Yeah.
Ma'am, can you say the function, ma'am, how you are taking it as t power t and then limit that
This one?
function alone, ma'am? How we are taking it as x of t is equal to t? It is linearly varying, but it is varying in the negative part as well as in the positive part, no, ma'am?
Yes. So, okay. So when we are finding Fourier series coefficients, we focus on only one period. That is okay. So from and the length of our period here is 2. So 2 is your fundamental period. So this 2 we can take either from 0 to 2 or minus 1 to 1. So by choice I am taking it from minus 1 to 1. Is it clear?
Okay,
Till this
ma'am.
point,
But
yeah, let me
function
come.
x of t is equivalent to t you are writing, no, ma'am?
Only for t in this range from -1 to 1 in this particular
Okay,
range.
okay. Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, and then it repeats.
Okay,
Yeah,
ma'am. But if you are doing over the integration, if you are taking over from -1 to 1, it's okay, ma'am.
huh. If you are going to take it
Actually,
from,
t is varying, no, ma'am. It is not from -1 to 1. It is not limited to that function, but it is varying over there.
agreed. But how do you find your Fourier series? You go to the basic definition now. Okay, so you find a Fourier series as 1 by T naught. T naught is your fundamental period. Then you integrate this x of t into e power minus jk omega naught t only over one period, not the entire time range.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, and this period t naught, the range is our choice. On the entire time axis, whatever range you take, you will still
Okay.
get this. That's why. So if you go to the very first example also, we didn't integrate over the entire time range. We focused only on one period. That is from minus t by 2 to t by 2. So when we are finding the Fourier series coefficients, you focus on that particular range of period, which is very easy to integrate.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Will it
Yeah.
be the same value, ma'am, wherever we take over the period?
Yes.
Okay.
It
Okay,
will
ma'am.
give you the
Thank you.
same value.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Keep in mind, Fourier series is for a periodic signal, and we are only going to play in one period time. Whatever computation for Fourier series we'll do, it will be only for one period integration. Rest every information repeats. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. If not, then let me move on to the next question. So the next question here says that find the Fourier series of the signal x of t, which is summation L running from minus infinity to infinity. So this x of t, I apologize for the small font actually, is summation L running from minus infinity to infinity x1 of t minus L, where this x1 of t is e power minus t for t in the range of 0 to 1. So let us first see how this x of t look, x1 of t look. So you have this signal. Like this. Then at t equal to 0, it will be equal to 1, and then it will go down to e of minus 1, or rather, yeah, e of minus 1. So this will be e of minus 1, and it is 0. Yeah, so this is included. It is 0 for every other value. So this is the signal given to us. So this is basically your x1 of t. Yeah. Now, what is your x of t? Your x of t is basically you are repeating this signal x1 of t multiple times. So leave it. Yeah. So this is 1, this is 0. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And then you have something like this. Yeah, something like this. and this signal here you have 1 and it reduces to e power minus 1. Again you have this like this, it will repeat. Again here also something like this. So it will be like this. So it will repeat here and on the left hand side also. I'm not showing the negative parts. So this is how your x of t will look. So this part is your, so this is your x1 of t. This is x1 of t minus 1. This is x1 of t minus 2 and so on. Okay. So this is your signal that is given to us or to you. So what we want to do is we want to find the Fourier series coefficients for this signal. Now if you see carefully, this particular signal repeats after every one duration. So the fundamental period is 1. So therefore the fundamental frequency or fundamental angular frequency is 2 pi by fundamental period, that is 1, that is your 2 pi. Okay. So therefore let me add a page, I don't want to cram content on this. So your Ck will be 1 by the fundamental period, that is 1, integral from 0 to 1. Now if you see, this 0 to 1 is the signal that is given to us. So it's easy to just focus on this 0 to 1 period instead of focusing on some different period. So integral from 0 to 1, in that your x of t is equal to your x1 of t, which is e power minus t, into e power minus j k omega naught t dt. So this is equal to 1 integral 0 to 1. So e power minus t into 1 plus jk omega naught dt. So this real part of this quantity is 1. So anyway, doesn't matter, it is a finite integral. So this is equal to e power minus t into 1 plus jk omega naught upon minus 1 plus jk omega naught from 0 to 1. This is equal to e power minus 1 plus jk omega naught is 2 pi minus 1 divided by minus 1 plus jk 2 pi. So therefore your Ck is equal to 1 minus e power minus 1 into e power minus jk 2 pi divided by 1 plus jk 2 pi. Again this e power minus jk 2 pi, this particular quantity, so this is equal to cos of 2k pi minus sin j times sine of 2k pi. So this goes to 0 and this cos of 2k pi, even multiples of pi, cos of even multiples of pi is essentially 1. So therefore this reduces to the Ck is equal to 1 minus e power minus 1 divided by 1 plus jk 2 pi. So these are the Fourier series coefficients for this given signal. Is it clear? Any questions? Okay. Any questions till this point? If not, then let me move on to the next question. Okay. So the question given to us here is, which of the following signals have Fourier series? Or let me just change it. May not have Fourier series. Or the other way of framing this particular question is, which of the following signals violate or do not follow Dirichlet's condition? This is a better way of forming this question. Okay, so the first question or first part given to us is, so part 1 is x of t is equal to cos of 1 by t. So you know that cos of theta is essentially your instantaneous frequency or your phase, or yeah. So when you have cos of theta for theta tending to 0, you have large number of oscillations. And for theta large, okay, and for sufficiently large theta, or let's say some finite number of theta or non-zero theta, sorry, for sufficiently large theta, you will have large number of oscillations. When you have small theta, you will have smaller number of oscillations. So if you translate this particular thing here, so for t tending to 0, you will have large number, or essentially infinite number oscillations. So how does this signal look? Let me draw. So let's say you have t, you will have 2t, and so on. Same will happen in the negative axis. You have x of t, and this is a cosine signal, so it will start something like this. So you'll have large number of maximum oscillations here, and then they will slowly die down. These are not to the scale, but yeah, something like this will happen. So let me copy. Same thing will repeat here, something like this. Okay, and so on. So if you focus on, let's say, one period and this part, so if you just focus, let me change the color. Sorry. If you just focus on this part, here you have infinite number of maximas and minima. So this does not follow the Dirichlet condition. So it does not follow the second Dirichlet condition. Okay, so there is a chance that this particular signal will not have Fourier transform. So we can't say with certainty that this particular signal will definitely have a Fourier transform. It may not have the Fourier, not transform, series, sorry. Yeah. Again, Dirichlet conditions are sufficient conditions. Those are not necessary conditions. So we can't say anything about this particular signal. Another thing, this particular example is a classical example for a signal that does not follow Dirichlet conditions. You will find this particular example in almost every signals and systems books. Maybe you see Oppenheim or any other book. The classical textbooks for signals and systems will definitely give you this particular example if you open and see. The another signal that is given to us is 1 by t. So the second signal is 1 by t. So this is x of t is equal to 1 by t. So how does the signal, and this is for t belonging from 1 by t, capital T. So how does the signal look? It starts with it's not include 0. Yeah. So it starts with almost infinity and it goes to 1 by t, here t, then it repeats to t, 3t and so on. So this is how this signal look. It repeats on the left side as well. So this is t, this is your x of t, and repeat. Okay, so this signal is not discontinuous. It does not have any discontinuities. Again, this particular signal does not have infinite number of maximas and minimas in one given period. So the only Dirichlet condition that is remaining now to verify is the only Dirichlet condition that is remaining to verify is whether this particular signal is absolutely integrable in one particular period. So let us just focus on the first period and check the absolute integrability in that particular period. So let's say we have 0 to capital T. We have magnitude of 1 by t dt. So this is equal to integral 0 to capital T 1 by t dt. Integral of 1 by t is log of t, natural log of t, from 0 to capital T. This becomes log of capital T minus log of 0. So this log of 0 is minus infinity, minus of minus infinity is plus infinity. So this goes to infinity, which means that this particular signal is not absolutely integrable in one period. So therefore, this particular signal, or rather x of t, does not follow the first Dirichlet condition. Is it clear? Any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, then let us move on to the next question. So this is the last question that I want to cover today. So this particular question says that find the power of the signal x of t is equal to 2 times sine omega naught t plus 5 times cos of 2 times omega naught t and verify whether it is equal to the sum of the square of Fourier series coefficients. So this particular question has two parts. The first part is find power of the signal, which is given by 1 by t naught integral from 0 to t naught x of t magnitude square dt, and second is verify Parseval's theorem. Okay, so the first thing is finding power. And what do you mean by Parseval's theorem? It means that 1 by t naught integral from 0 to t naught, or rather over any integral square dt, this is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity magnitude of ck square. So this is your Parseval's theorem. So let's start with the first thing. So let's start with the part 1, finding p. So for finding p, we want to look at magnitude of x of t square. So this is equal to, your x of t is a real signal, so magnitude square is simply equal to square. So your x of t is essentially 2 times sine of omega naught t plus 5 cos of 2 times omega naught t whole square. So this becomes 4 times sine square omega naught t plus 20 sine of omega naught t into cos of 2 times omega naught t plus 25 cos square 4 omega naught t, cos square 2 omega naught t. Okay. Okay. So your magnitude of x of t square, this 4 sine square omega naught t, I can write it as 1 minus cos of 2 omega naught t whole divided by 2 plus this 20 sine omega naught t plus cos omega naught t, I can write it as sine of omega naught t, so this is 3 omega naught t minus sine of omega naught t whole divided by 2 plus 25 by 2 into 1 minus 1 plus cos of 4 omega naught t by 2. So this is equal to, this gets cancelled, this becomes 10, there is no 2 here. So what we have is 2 plus 25 by 2 minus 2 cos 2 omega naught t plus 10 sine 3 omega naught t minus sine of omega naught t plus 25 by 2, 10 cos of 4 times omega naught t. So this I can also write it as 29 by 2 minus 10 sine omega naught t minus 2 cos 2 omega naught t plus 10 sine 3 omega naught t plus 25 by 2 cos of 4 omega naught t. What is the fundamental frequency of this signal? So that should be the smallest value of frequency, after which every signal repeats. Or yeah. So the sine of omega naught t will be something like this. This cos of omega naught t has two cycles, so it's like this. So this So the smallest value will be, so the fundamental period of this particular signal will be what? Not period, frequency. It will be omega naught. This is the smallest frequency. So you have omega naught, then this is its harmonic, this is also its harmonic, this is also its harmonic. So this 2 omega naught, this 3 omega naught, this 4 omega naught are all the harmonics of this omega naught frequency. You ignore the DC component for now. So omega naught is the fundamental frequency. Here also, if you see, if you go back to the original signal, you shouldn't look at the square. Omega naught, and you have 2 omega naught here. So this is the second harmonic. You shouldn't look at the square. You will go back to the original signal. Sorry for that gadwad. So you have this second harmonic, which means that omega naught, and you have 2 omega naught. So the original fundamental frequency is omega naught. So this is your fundamental frequency. Okay. So this is what we have. Now another thing that I want you to look at is something like this. You have integral from 0 to t naught cos of k omega naught dt. So this is equal to sine of k omega naught by k from 0 to t naught. So this becomes sine of k omega naught t. Yeah, t. Upon k omega naught from 0 to t. Sorry. Yeah, okay. So this is what we have. So this is equal to sine of k omega naught t naught minus 0 upon k omega naught. So this becomes sine of k 2 pi by t naught into t naught by k omega naught. This gets cancelled, and sine of 2k pi is always equal to 0 for all the integer value of k. Similarly, if you have 0 to t naught and you have sine of k omega naught t dt, so this is equal to minus cos of k omega naught t by k omega naught from 0 to t naught. So this is equal to minus, we have cos of k omega naught t minus cos 0 is 1 divided by k omega naught. Let me add a page. So this is equal to minus integral cos of k 2 pi by t naught into t naught minus 1 by k omega naught. So this t naught gets cancelled. Cos of k 2 pi is minus 1, is 1. So 1 minus 1 upon k omega naught. So this is also equal to 0. So what we have integral from 0 to t naught cos of k omega naught t dt is equal to 0, and integral from 0 to t naught sine of k omega naught t dt, this is also equal to 0. So if you have a cos or sine corresponding to the kth harmonic of your signal, and if you integrate that over one period of your original signal or one period of then the integral is equal to 0. So this is like you have multiple cycles here, multiple cycles in one period of, or rather k cycles in one period t naught. So because of that, there will be obviously cancellations. Area under the curve will be equal to 0. That's all that we have here. So now we'll make use of this thing in obtaining the power of the signal. So what we have, I'll just copy paste this quantity there. Yeah. Okay, so therefore power is equal to, I have this quantity here, then we'll have integral from 0 to t naught, this thing dt, and this gets multiplied by 1 over t naught. So this is your power. So let me separate out these integrals. So I have 1 by t naught into 29 by 2 integral 0 to t naught 1 dt minus 1 by t naught integral 0 to t naught, we have a 10 here, sine of omega naught t dt minus we have 2 by t naught integral 0 to t naught, we have cos of 2 omega naught t dt. Then I have 10 by t naught plus 10 by t naught integral from 0 to t naught sine of 3 omega naught t dt. And finally we have plus 25 by 2 t naught integral from 0 to t naught, we have cos of 4 omega naught t dt. So as we saw, this integral goes to 0, this also goes to 0, this goes to 0, and this also goes to 0. So what we are left with is t equal to 1 by t naught into 29 by 2 integral 0 to t naught 1 dt, which is 1 by t naught into 29 by 2 t from 0 to t naught, which is equal to 1 by t naught into 29 by 2 into t naught. This t naught and this t naught gets cancelled. So what we are left with now is t is equal to 29 by 2. So this is essentially the power of your signal. So power of x of t. Okay, till this point, is it clear? This was the part 1 of the question. So we found out the power. Now what remains is validating the Parseval's theorem. So part 1 is done. Now let's move on to the second part. So the second part is verifying Parseval's theorem. For that, what we want to find? So for that, to find summation k running from minus infinity to infinity, magnitude of ck square is equal to what? And for that, first we need to figure out the ck's. Now again, what is your x of t? The x of t that we have is again sinusoid. So it is 2 times sine of omega naught t plus 5 times cos of 2 omega naught t. So this is sinusoid. So again we'll use the Euler's representation. So what we get is 2 times sine theta is e power j theta. So e power j omega naught t minus e power minus j theta divided by 2j plus 5 times cos of theta. So you have e power j 2 omega naught t plus e power minus j 2 omega naught t whole divided by 2. So what does it give? It gives this 2 gets cancelled, and what we have is, so we have 1 by j into e power j 1 omega naught t plus minus 1 by j into e power j minus 1 omega naught t plus 5 by 2 into e power j 2 omega naught t plus 5 by 2 into e power j minus 2 omega naught t. So again, if you compare, this particular thing is c1 into e power j 1 omega naught t. So this is your c1. this particular quantity corresponds to your k as minus 1. So this is your C of minus 1. This particular quantity here, this corresponds to k equal to 2. So this is equal to C2. And this particular quantity here, it corresponds to k equal to minus. So this particular thing is C of minus. So what do we have now? So we have Ck as 1 by j when k equal to 1. It is minus 1 by j for k equal to minus 1. It is equal to 5 by 2 for k equal to 2. It is equal to again 5 by 2 for k equal to minus 2. And this thing, we add one more, is 0 otherwise. Is it clear till this point? So now using this particular Ck, whatever we have found, Ck's, so now we can find out summation k running from minus infinity to infinity, magnitude of Ck square. Now this Ck is non-zero only for 4 values of k, so I can write this as magnitude of C1 square plus magnitude of C2 square, C of minus 1, plus magnitude of C2 square plus magnitude of C of minus 2 square. So this is what we have now. What is C1? C1 is 1 by j square plus C of minus 1 is minus 1 by j squared plus C2 is 5 by 2 square plus C of minus 2 is 5 by 2 whole square. So magnitude of this is 1. So 1 square is 1. Plus you have 1 minus 1 by j, its magnitude also 1. So this is again 1. Then you have 5 by 2 square. So this is 25 by 4 plus 25 by 4. So therefore, you have summation k running from minus infinity to infinity, magnitude of Ck square comes out to be equal to 2 plus 25 by 2. This comes out to be equal to 29 by 2. And what was the value of your power? Your power was equal to, where did it go? Yeah, 29 by 2. Okay. So what we showed, so therefore we see that one by t naught integral 0 to t naught magnitude of x of t square dt sorry. Yeah, okay. So integral 1 by t naught integral from 0 to t naught magnitude of x of t square dt. This is equal to summation k running from minus infinity to infinity magnitude of Ck square. Okay, so this is what we have. So this we showed, which implies that Parseval's theorem is verified. Any questions till now? So we have completed the part 1 and part 2 of both of these questions. Both part 1 and part 2 of this question. Any questions in this particular question or any queries in any part of the tutorial for today? Please feel free to ask. Okay, if not, then that's all I wanted to cover today. If you have any questions, then feel free to ask. Otherwise, you are free to leave the meeting. Thanks for attending today's session. One more thing, the next week's tutorial will be held on Monday, not on this Friday. Again, the Monday tutorial will be from 7 to 9 p.m. And from the coming weeks, like from week 8 tutorial, it will be held on the regular tutorial slots, that is Friday 6 to 8 p.m. Only for the coming week, there will be a change in the schedule.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. If you don't have any questions, yeah,
Coming week we will be having tutorial on Monday, ma'am.
yeah, Monday 7 to 9 p.m. You will get the notification and the link for the tutorial.
Actually, it is coming in the mail, ma'am. We are not checking it. That's it.
No, you can open the NPTEL portal for this particular course and see the announcements.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, there also it is listed.
Okay, ma'am.
So generally what
Monday-
happens, one day before they send the notification.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
regular slot for the tutorials is Friday 6 to 8 p.m. Only for this, like last week and this week I rescheduled it.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
For next week also it will be on Monday, ma'am.
Yeah, next week it will be on Monday 7 to 9 p.m.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Weekly we will be having tutorials, ma'am.
Yeah, weekly. Every week we have a tutorial.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thanks.
Shall we leave, ma'am?
Yeah, you are free to leave.
Thank you.